What's up, everybody? Another one of my 2 in the morning rants. What is the best school you could put them in? Ask yourself that. What is the best place to learn? And from who? I think you know the answer to that pretty much. They don't need a Hummer. They don't need a Porsche Cayenne. They don't need to live in the best school districts. They don't need the highest rated school, lowest crime rate neighborhood. What do they really need? Now, I don't have any of them, so I can't put myself in your feet to know exactly the challenges you go through. But I watch, and I can tell you, from what I've seen, I see some of the most common mistakes being made over and over. And while I don't know the perspective of you, I know the perspective of me and a lot of my friends. Now, I've had friends that I lost at the age of 16, 15. It's sad. It's really sad. And it wasn't in the hood. It wasn't a first 48 type of thing. It wasn't a suburban pool. It was in a gated community. So, what you think as a parent is what you need to be providing can sometimes be very far from what they actually need. When I see people, they have, wife gets pregnant, first thing they run and do is go buy a brand new car. Now you got a car payment. Then they might want to feel like they need to buy a home. Can't rent an apartment anymore. Now you got to have a home. So now, first grade comes around. You got a mortgage. You got 2 or 3 car payments. You got credit card debt. You're living in an expensive area because you want to put them in the safest neighborhoods, quote unquote. Send them to the best schools. So now you're living in an expensive area. And all those little friends that they make are in the same situation as you. Parents who try to buy time, happiness with cars, ATVs, jet skis, and other material things that end up getting kids in trouble when they do, helping them become successful adults. I can't tell you that I know what it's like to be you because I don't. Me and Katie don't have any little ones. But I did live in Lehigh Acres, in a community where it's a lot of families. And I would watch some people get up at 5 in the morning and come back at 7:38 at night, angry, miserable. In that neighborhood where I live, there's a lot of families. And you can see the way they're driving aggressively. People that are just burnt out, bro. The number one thing those kids need ain't a house in the suburbs. Ain't to be picked up in a Porsche Cayenne. Ain't to drive around in a jet ski during the weekend. Number one thing them kids need is people to love them. And that's free. Now, I'm not saying you should all of a sudden not have expectations, not live in a safe neighborhood. That's not what I'm saying. You have got to be better and give your family. You can't just put your family in the worst place spot. That's not responsible either. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, what's wrong with renting? What's wrong with living in an apartment? What's wrong with a car that's paid off, even if it's 5 years old? No, now we have a little one. It has to be a brand new car because I can't have a little one in a brand. It can't Paul. We can't. You know how many times, bro? It ain't about a car breaking down. A horse that I remember when I was little. It wasn't a car that didn't want to run. It was a horse that didn't want to run. Okay? We fill our minds with, you have to have this. You got to pick them up in a brand new car. You got to live in the suburbs. You got to have this. They got to wear new Jordans. And you got to have this. And all, they got to wear the sweater. Bro, none of that's important. You know what they would make them happy? Time. Sleep. A day off. Means more to them. And then when I see, in Florida and California, we got the whole Disney thing. When they do get a day off, instead of staying home and hanging out by a lake, take them to Disney. You really think kids want to sit in a 4-hour traffic jam to see a cartoon? So now, parenting becomes not about the ones that are being raised. It becomes about the parents buying cars, taking vacations to Disney, just buying clothes, buying houses, trading cars in. Parenting becomes about not so much the kids and their happiness and the things they need. It becomes about the materialistic obligations that you take on. And we look at parenting today as all those things. But you don't have time. Let's talk about schools for a minute. What is the best school? Look, I don't care what school you put them in. At some point, they're going to teach them something you don't want taught to them. At some point, they're going to be put in a room with 40 other kids. And some of those kids, the parents, are doing the same thing you're doing, but on a worse level. Because I've seen parents that give their kids anything just to shut them up. Anything. Or if the parents are doing something, kids might be on it too. Getting it from the parents. I've seen it. Horrible. It's true. So, you know how you can eliminate all those problems? One person staying at home. That's it. Now, that person that stays home cleans the house, takes care of the kids, and it could be the male, it could be the female. It don't got to be the female. The female might be the one that makes the money. Might be the male that has to mow the lawn, take care of the kids, cook meals, prepare the next person's clothes, and maybe massage their back when they get home. But maybe there's a $1,000 check every week on now. That love and attention and homeschooling will do more for your family. I've calculated the cost of picking up a kid in school, dropping them off 5 times a week, having them babysit. It takes as much time just to forget about the time they spend in school, dropping them off, picking them up in one of these big cities where there's traffic and there's 45 minute to an hour waits to get in and out of those school lines. You might as well homeschool them. Now, instead of waking up at 6 in the morning, getting dressed and whatever, and rushing in 45 minutes in a line, another 30 minutes back to the house, and you're doing that again in the afternoon, that takes as much time. But see, people don't think like that. Your time is more valuable than your hourly salary. It takes as much time and energy to drop them off and pick them up and have them babysit as it does to just have somebody stay at home. And the person that stays at home can Uber. They can still make money. They can Uber. They can do arts and crafts. They can walk the neighbor's dogs. They can pressure wash on you. There's 1,000 things that person can do to still bring in maybe not $1,000 a month, but maybe $400 or $500. Today, it don't matter if you're in the suburbs. No matter if you put them in the most expensive $20,000 school, they're gonna be exposed to kids who bad environment. You can't get away from that. So just think a little bit about the time that you spend dropping them off, picking them up, the horrible things they're being taught not only by the schools but by the other kids they're associating with, and the fact that you have no time with your family whatsoever. Me and Katie, this is exhausting. We are in a hotel, very far from home, tired, 7 or 8 states away from home right now. We're exhausted. This video is a 2 a.m. Upload. Exhausting. But we are together all the time. And she's my assistant, and I'm her assistant. We work together. I could never make the money that I make now. Never make. through this business, through my previous businesses, none of my businesses would have been as successful as they've been in my endeavors in general without that woman right there. Because now, her assisting me, the money that she would have made in a job is instant. It would have been like this much. What she does for me is this much. That's how much she would do in a job. This is how much she does for me. So now, it makes me much more valuable. Let's say one of you guys is a consultant or whatever, and or realtor, consultant, anything where you're self-employed, and the other person can just bring you lunch every day. Pick up something. Oh, hey, I got a flat tire. Can you go to the tire shop and bring me an axle grease and a few lug nuts or whatever? Or bring me a bearing size 5 1x14, whatever you need. That person's available, and they can get that for you. So that person assisting the one person that goes to work, if that other person that's staying at home is their assistant, it could be a salesperson. You might have to be let's say I'm a salesperson, and I got to go pick up one document across downtown. I go pick up one document across town. It's just going to an office and picking it up. That's a 45-minute commute each way, 15 minutes in line. That takes up 3 hours of your day. Hey, baby, go to the downtown office and pick up a paper for me. Saves you 3 hours of your day. You would have had to go all the way down there to pick the paper and back. Would have been 3 hours a day. So that one person that stays at home has to be looking out for every interest of that household, from kids, house repairs, everything. Maybe one day the sink breaks. You have to hire a plumber. Plumber's got to come off, or somebody's got to take a day off now because now somebody's got to take a day off because of plumber. If somebody's around, they can go and be home that day. And as a matter of fact, if they have enough time on their hands, they can go on YouTube and figure out how to do it themselves. And maybe they won't do it right, but they'll have 30 minutes to talk to the person at their Home Depot, which might tell them how to do it themselves. I've been there. So now that one person that stays at home is able to empower the other person not to make this much money a month, but to make this much money a month. But both of you work in individual jobs but only made this much. But that person that stays at home has to empower the person that's going out there every day. Maybe you don't need a house. Maybe you just need a rent. Look, there's been this notion being pushed to the internet that poor people, everybody has to be, you have to invest. You have to invest. You have to buy some land. You have to invest. You don't have to invest nothing, man. You don't need a 401k. You don't need to have a piece of land. You don't need to have Bitcoin. You don't need to invest anything. If you're a poor, normal, working class person, you might have $20, $40, $50, $100,000. You're not an investor. That's your savings. If you have $100,000 right now, that's not to buy land. That's not to buy Bitcoin. That's not to go on a real estate adventure. You know what that's for? That's your savings. That's your doctor's bills. That's if one of you guys breaks a leg, that's rent for a whole year or mortgage for a whole year. You understand? But this mentality that's being pushed on people's throats of materialism. Why is the world the way it is right now? Because these kids are growing up with no love. No love. Parents were not present because they were working 6-7 days a week. When they are around their kids, they're completely irritable. Completely irritable. Them kids need a moment of freaking love, man. A walk in the park, a bike. What do you want to do? They want to walk to the park. You want to go fishing. You want to, those kids, kids need 45 minutes to an hour of recreational time a day at least. If you want your kids to develop properly, they need to have 45 minutes to an hour of recreational enjoyment every single day. Not once a week, not on their day off. Every single day they have to either go to the park, go fishing. They're children, man. The notion that you're grabbing a kid that's 4 or 5 years old, and from the time they're 4 or 5 years old, you're dropping them off at 5 in the morning at a place, and you ain't picking them up at 6 with people they don't know. Teachers, You've seen the news. Come on, man. You can't trust nobody nowadays. Like, I'm not a parent. I don't know how to be a parent. But I can tell you this. If you get rid of that, one of those jobs you guys have, get rid of picking up, dropping off, babysitting, get rid of the $40,000 car payments, get rid of the house in the most expensive suburbs, which at the end of the day, if they're going to go that route, they're going to go that route, whether you live in a suburb or you live in the hood. I have known kids that grew up in the hood with me, and they are doctors, lawyers, realtors, you name it, they are that. In fact, I would almost venture to say that some of the kids that grew up in my hood, not all of them, because a lot of them went off forever, but a lot of them, I can think about realtors, I can think about business owners, a lot of very successful people. I know kids from the time they were 16, they're plotting how to start their own business. Living in the hood, some of them didn't even have papers, and they still got started businesses because they were determined to do it. They were determined to be successful. So, I'm not saying it's okay to put your family in the hood. That's not what I'm saying. But I know people that raise their kids right in the hood, and they might have had 3 kids. One of them might be a complete piece of crap. The other one might be a lawyer or a realtor or very successful. Maybe your kids aren't going to grow up to be lawyers and realtors. Maybe they're just going to work at a store. But if they have morals, they find somebody they love, they don't have any bad habits, maybe your kids aren't going to become a doctor and a lawyer. Maybe your kids, the best they can do is to work at a Walgreens or at a car dealership or something normal, or at a hotel. But if they're happy and they marry somebody and they start to create their own life and live a normal life, because expectations today are through the roof, maybe your kids, you can evaluate your kids. You can say, this one right here is going to be a doctor or a lawyer. This one over here, if we can just get him to get a job at Walgreens, and maybe you're wrong. Maybe you think your kids have no potential and they're just a bundle of potential and opportunity waiting to be discovered. I don't know. But I will tell you this, that I saw kids grow up with nothing, and today they're successful people. Some of them economically, some of them just morally, just as a person. They're decent people. They don't steal. They don't have bad habits. They're just good, genuine people. Somebody you can leave your wallet around and have to worry. But there's people that are in professional positions, lawyers, doctors, realtors, whatever, and you don't want to leave a contract you want to make sure you're reading the fine print around these people, because they got a mortgage, 2 cars, and they're living a stressful, burnt out lifestyle, and they're just out there to burn everybody because their life is so complicated that they have to take every dollar they can, because at the end of the day, those bills never stop coming. It's a never-ending suction, draining the life out of you every single day. That never ends. So, well, I can't tell you how to be a parent. I can tell you this. I've seen people in normal neighborhoods raise great kids, even in bad neighborhoods raise great kids. They didn't have the resources, but you know what they had? Parenting skills, time, and just they gave them what they needed. And what they needed wasn't both parents working 80 hours a week. It might have just been monitoring the kids, being there with them. So I can't tell you how to do your thing. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions, but just to think a little bit. What it costs to drive those kids to school, the cars you think you need, because every person I have ever met, as soon as somebody they get pregnant, immediately they have to go and buy a $50,000 car. Now all of a sudden you need a $50,000 car. Really? Now all of a sudden you need a $1,000 car? The $5,000 car is no longer good enough? And it's counterproductive, because what you need isn't, if you really, like, I evaluate situations, and I got a lot of friends and a lot of people I talk to, and, wife's pregnant, I got to get a $50,000 car now, they can't, I mean, really? I would think that the thing you need to do the most now is now you really need that $4,000 car that's paid off. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Everybody's got their own understanding. Wouldn't want to be in your position right now. It is complicated. It's complicated for us without kids. I don't know how it is for you. But just think about the time it takes to pick them up, drop them off, the car you think you need. When you add up all that stuff, wouldn't it just be easier to homeschool them? Wouldn't it just be easier for somebody to stay at home Wouldn't it be easier living in an apartment instead of buying a house in the suburbs? Wouldn't it be easier if that person that's working can call you and say, hey, I want to eat this tonight, have it ready when I get home? Think about all that. Check it out.